So I'm now going to play a little bit of a composition that I'm working on myself, which I've put together myself. Tune with no nail.
I always tell people blindness is, it's not selective. Blindness doesn't care if you're rich. Blindness doesn't care if you're male, female, black, white, Hispanic. Blindness doesn't care. I got my first horse, in 1989. I had a business where I boarded horses, gave birthday parties for children, guided trail rides because we were right on the edge of timberland. I started off Western, but I went to English because I could feel the horse. And that helped me be able to know what the horse was doing. I could feel his muscles and his movement so that I could adjust myself to what he was doing much quicker through the English saddle than I could through the Western saddle, so that's why I went to the English style. The thing, I guess what I'm trying to say is that when people are approaching a jump, from what I understand, if you see a jump coming, from what instructors have told me, if you're sighted, you see the jump, people are either tense or they try to pull the horse up and over the jump. I don't see it coming. When you feel the horse is going to collect on his rear end. I feel that. So I immediately go up in my 2-point. So I'm going with the horse. I feel the horse's movements. So my body reacts only to the horse. It's not reacting to what I see. And as he's in the air, he lengthens out. So my body reacts for the landing. I'm not looking at the ground, I'm feeling him. So my body is in sync with him. It's not in sync with what I'm seeing. The horse was a part of me. I don't know how else to explain it. But through the horse, I could feel him, and his eyes became mine.
Okay, well, the good news is that we have this wonderful name called Blind Life, because there's life after blindness, and there's absolutely no other organization that I can find in the United States with Blind Life. How do you like it? And you said, I love it. I love it. And we can call it Blink, That's a wonderful acronym for it. When you research Blind Life, if you look in Durham, England, there is another organization called Blind Life.
I think you referred to it as our future sister.
Yes, I did. I did. Because you know me, I'm a visionary. And so I said, what if we contacted them and we said that they could join with us and they could be our sister organization, and immediately you whisked around, you got on your computer, you typed it all in, and you found them.
I lost my sight in June 2002 due to a stroke. The technical name for the condition was retinal vein occlusion. It was a big end of the world for us in a way, because it was just like a black curtain that was coming down in front of me. Things were going on, and you were receiving information from various organisations. It's just so much to take in at once. The charity began on the basis of Margaret doing some research to find out what was available for blind and partially sighted people in County Durham, and upon that research it sort of prompted Margaret to think, well, you know, after one or two discussions, to decide that she wanted to help blind and partially sighted people in County Durham. And to have it grow to this extent has been really, really very good, and I'm quite sure it's brought a lot of blind awareness to County Durham. It's demonstrated what blind and partially sighted people can achieve if they're willing to give something a try.
What I think we need to do is to develop a relationship with all these different organizations that have a passion, a calling very much like ours.
Action is so encompassing. I mean, they just cover all the bases.
Hi there, I'm David Newbold. I'm one of the heads of operation for Action for Blind People here in London and the south east of England. We're based here today at Action House, the headquarters of Action for Blind People, which is part of the Royal National Institute of Blind People Group, delivering frontline services for people with sight loss across England. In the UK, there are more than 2 million people who have some form of sight loss. And of course, the thing that really concerns us is that by 2050, that number is set to double to 4 million people. So sometimes we use what we call simulation specs, to help people to understand the actual impact of and the effect of a different sight condition. So I've got a couple of examples here. The first being a sim spec which mocks really the effect, or mimics the effect of age-related macular degeneration, one of the most common types of sight loss in the UK. Now, age-related macular degeneration affects a very small part of the back of the eye, the retina, part called the macula, and with that, the damage that's occurred to sight, it damages your central vision, so that people, if they're looking at reading a book or watching TV, they may actually have either some fuzziness, or it may even get some blank patches eventually, and people may not be able to see what they're looking directly at, but generally would be able to see around the periphery, that still have that peripheral vision. So we use these very glamorous glasses just to give people the a better idea of actually how somebody is affected by sight loss, whether this is an employer, family member, relative. So with these glasses, for example, my central vision is blacked out, and then it's slightly fuzzy around the edge, but you can still see in your periphery quite a lot, and so this helps people just to understand what their employee, loved one, friend, family member it actually sees.
There was a optometrist, a young woman from out of town quite a ways, and when she saw those simulators laying on the table, and she picked them up, and she was just blown away by it. She said, "Did you do these? Or did you buy them? Where did you get them?" And I said, "No, we made them." And she was like, "This is amazing." She said, I said, "Well, yeah, I'm happy for you to have that." No, she said, "You need these." I said, "Well, I have 144 pairs of these. I don't mind you taking a pair." No, she said, "I need to make these. This is wonderful. Everybody should be able to experience this."
I'm Tiffany Chartier. I am an avid photographer, and I'm also a writer. I have a hereditary degenerative eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa. I was diagnosed when I was 15 years old by the Retina Foundation of the Southwest. At 15 and being a young lady, I was thinking about different things than my girlfriends were. And I was angry for a short amount of time because I was that quirky girl who would dance on the curbs and you know, make the pictures in the clouds and do the things that were already enjoying the simple things in life. And I couldn't understand why I was being robbed of something that I was already so appreciative of seeing things that maybe other people weren't seeing. And so why was I being robbed of my vision? And then it hit me that I really wouldn't wish that on anybody else. So maybe I was exactly the person that needed, if somebody was to get that, maybe it should be me, because I wouldn't wish that on anybody else. What retinitis pigmentosa does is it slowly takes away your peripheral vision. And so your acuity stays spot on, but everything else just like this.
Basically, I have no central view at all. I just have the peripheral view, which picks out hand movement, shapes, but no detail. It's very bold, and it's quite hard for me to describe it because I don't know what perfect sight is, so I don't know what I'm comparing it against. If I hold my hand there, I can see absolutely nothing. Keeping my eyes looking forward and moving round, my hand now is coming into view, and I can see that moving. Now it's gone. I can see it there. Now it's gone. Now it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. And I can see it there. And now it's gone again.
I've always been interested in the arts, and I've always been a creative person. And as a teenager, I noticed that photography was something that I gravitated towards. And then when my peripheral vision started going, everything was kind of like a photograph. And I was seeing things pretty much as photographs because it was always what was right in front of me. And nothing was panoramic. Everything became very relational for me. And people became very important to me, and having relationships that meant something to me. And through photography, that was one way that I could really express love and paying it forward, and just the significance of the moment. And kind of my own personal journey with vision. Most of my peripheral vision, I am legally blind. So what's interesting about that is in the evenings I use a cane, a walking cane. And when it's dark outside, I have to do that. And when it's too bright outside because of retinitis pigmentosa, I can't see very well. Well, what's humorous about that is, for example, going to the movie theater with your teenagers, and you're driving and you get out and you're fine. You go into the movie theater, you use a cane. Your teenage son sees some of his buddies that he knows, and they're like looking at you because you're using a cane, and then they follow you out and you fold up the cane, put it in the car, and you drive off. And everybody's aghast because they're like, wasn't that the same lady that was using the blind cane inside the movie theater? And they have to think that you're completely crazy because nobody understands that. Your kids become a little more compassionate or embarrassed, and they have to deal with it, and they do.
Scott Wood is one of our very experienced technology coordinators working over in our Bristol team, providing that day-to-day support for people, whether they're job seekers or just want to know more about assistive technology to live independently, and providing information and practical support for people to understand how to use a range of different assistive technology, whether it's a computer through to mobile phone technology.
Okay, my name is Scott Wood, and I work here. I manage our training centre here, which we know is the Action Technology Training Suite. and we offer training which is free to all blind and partially sighted people over the age of 16. We offer them training in technology and computers over 6 weeks to access information and education. We all get a great thrill from benefiting from working with our students here, to see how they progress and how they mature and grow and find more confidence and more self-esteem. In some ways, it's not just about learning technology, it's not just about learning how to do a task like send an email or use Skype or anything like that. It's as much about giving people confidence and self-esteem and believing that they can do it. Many of these people have just started to lose their sight and bewildered and not sure how they can manage, and to see them actually flower and blossom and come through the difficult times and start to feel independent and being able to communicate with people again and be able to do the things that everybody else does, maybe in a different way, but being able to talk about the different apps on their iPhone and stuff like that, just joining those sort of conversations that everybody has down the pub on a Thursday night, gives people an amazing amount of confidence, and to see that is just a great thrill and a great privilege to be able to do that kind of work.
The shoot I'm going to do with Bronte is just going to be an absolute blast. What we're going to do is going to pick out a few outfits, and we're going to take her out and hopefully find some puddles that are still left after this rain. And we're going to take some stress that she's been having from college, because she's back from college, and completely shed that and release it into some fantastic pictures.
Exaggerated. Got it. Perfect. Like. Yes. That is kicking cool. I want your whole head facing that way. Yes. Beautiful, Bronte. Now, like this, but I want you laughing. Shake it till the hat falls. Yes. Love it.
My name's Ken Wright. I live in Fort Worth, Texas. And I've been blind now for about 15 years, and lived most of my life being able to see, and actually worked as a machinist. Got to the point of doing tool and die. And then I started having eye problems. I never did woodworking before, but I bought a bunch of woodworking equipment and learned how to build stuff. There's a lot of people who think that blind people, it's like, boy, don't let them do that. But then on the other hand, there are a number of blind people who are very cognizant of making sure they do things right, and know the variable factors of what you can do and what you need to be real careful of.
Enjoy sports, sailing,
canoeing. I still do those whenever I get the chance. I'm a keen gardener. I do a lot of gardening, look after my greenhouse, grow my own tomatoes.
After losing my eyesight, it's kind of like, I don't want to have people come mow my lawn, pay $35 a week. If I can get into woodworking, if I can build this, then I can do it myself.
Okay then, this afternoon we're going to go up to our local community centre, which is St Catherine's Community Centre, and we're going to demonstrate curling played by blind and partially sighted people. And I'm sure you will appreciate some of the skills that some of the blind life members have got.
I find working with blind life is great. It really lifts you when you, especially when you get out on trips and things with people, and you're helping them get around, and you can see their enjoyment in their face. Although blind people cannot register facial expressions, the majority of them still demonstrate them, which I can see, of course, and it's just so wonderful, which is why I help out with the new age curling and things as a volunteer on a weekend. It really does just let you know what life's all about.
I'm Julie Fox, and I live in Bishop Auckland. One day, shopping in a local supermarket, I was struggling to read something, and a kindly gentleman approached me and asked if he could help. I said I was fine and got chatting, and this guy actually was a member of Blind Life. So I went straight, he told me about the organisation, went straight home, looked them up on the internet and found Margaret's number, called her up, asked her a few questions, and I was invited along to a meeting, and the rest's history. They've actually changed my life considerably. What an amazing organisation. Met some amazing people, made some brilliant friends, and I just can't wait to go on more trips and holidays and enjoy the weekly or fortnightly curling, which we do at the moment. It's changed my life amazingly.
Good boy. That's it. Good boy. Find the stairs. Good boy, find the stairs. Find the steps. Good boy. My name's Bernie Reddington, and I'm here in Norwich, and I'm a technology coordinator for Action for Blind People. And what that means is that I go out and visit people in their own homes and demonstrate and advise them on technology that can help them be more independent and help them regain control of their lives. I was born with a condition called aniridia, which means that there's no iris in the eye at all, and everyone's quite individual really, but for me what it meant was I developed severe glaucoma at the age of 12, had lots of operations to try and remedy that, and in trying to remedy that it created other problems, and I developed cataracts which they removed. But in removing those, that caused more problems. And by the time I was 24, I'd had over 35 operations. And unfortunately, I'd lost the sight in one eye in 1988 through a freak accident chasing a friend's children. And because the sight wasn't good in one eye, one eye was better than the other. It means you don't have any depth perception. So I ran down a slope, and there was a tree, and I didn't realise that the tree branches were so low, and I ran straight into the tree and detached the retina in that eye. And because the underlying condition weakens the eye, it really wasn't good news for it, and it was too damaged for them to be able to save.
Hello, my name is Neva Fairchild. I'm National Independent Living Associate at American Foundation for the Blind, Center on Vision Loss. This is Esther's Place, our 1,800 square foot demonstration model home. It's designed to help people with vision problems to learn about accommodations and products that can help them live as independently as possible. We've used color and texture contrast in Esther's Place to help people with low and no vision to work and live more independently in the environment. You'll notice that the carpet is light, but the tile is dark, and the tile is very textured compared to the linoleum that's in an adjacent room. We also used color contrast on a throw on the back of the chair, on the pillows on the couch, and actually even the furniture contrasts with the carpet. I was born premature, and because of that, the doctors felt that that was the reason my vision was poor when I was a kid. It wasn't discovered that I had poor vision until I was probably about 5 or 6. When I wouldn't stay in my chair in pre-K, I wanted to go up and see what the teacher was holding in her hand. It was in my 30s that we discovered that I actually have a form of retinitis pigmentosa called cone rod degeneration, which is really very similar to macular degeneration, except that it doesn't stop with the macula, it keeps going, and the cells of the retina deteriorate slowly. So throughout my lifetime, my vision has gotten worse. With some kinds of vision loss, you may have trouble seeing colors. So here at the center, we have some solutions to that. For example, these buttons are shaped differently depending on the color. We have them pinned on the sleeve so you can see them easily. Ordinarily, you would sew them in somewhere inconspicuous on the inside of the jacket, for example. This button is a 3-leaf clover shape, so I know this jacket is green. This button is a triangle, so I know this jacket is pink. They feel about the same, so it would be hard for me to tell them apart without the buttons. That way you know your clothes match and you get the color you want. So here in Esther's dining room, you'll see place settings that give you examples of poor contrast, such as this one with color on color on color. Very difficult to see where the pieces are placed and where the edges are. While as on this place setting, we have a light placemat with a dark dish with a light napkin laid on top. It makes everything much more visible. Even the cutlery has brightly colored handles, so they're easier to see. Simple things like that, or a plate guard that will allow you to scoop your food against a barrier so it doesn't go off the edge of your plate, can help make mealtime much easier. Simple things like taking away tall candlesticks and replacing them with low votives can make a difference too. That way, someone reaching for a salt and pepper shaker who doesn't see that tall, clear candlestick won't knock it over and set the tablecloth on fire. That pretty much ruins Thanksgiving. We've been talking about a lot of low-tech tools. Let's talk about something that's a little bit more high-tech. This is a barcode scanner that reads the barcode on anything that has one. For example, Del Monte whole kernel corn golden sweet. The device even tells me that there's more information by saying continued, and I can press a button that's very easily felt.
Package size 15.25 ounces, 432 grams.
Package size 15.25 ounces. I never knew they were cheating me by 3/4 of an ounce.
Holly's great because she helps me to sort of get around. I feel like I can walk naturally with her, so I can do all the things I can walk and go at a good speed, go at the speed I'd like to go without thinking about it too much. It's not a complicated process. Guide dogs will assess you and take you through the application. It's just quite a long-winded process. You know, you can get people who are waiting on the list for a good 2 years.
I always tell people that using a cane is kind of like driving a Pinto, and using a guide dog is like driving a Ferrari. My traveling speed somewhere between doubled and tripled when I got my first dog. And another neat thing that guide dogs do is look for overhead clearances. In Texas, as everyone knows, there are a lot of trees on sidewalks, and I would really rather not find those with my face. Also, a blind person with a cane may encounter apprehension from the public because they see the cane and they think, oh, I need to get out of that person's way, or I'm going to cause a problem, or whatever. With a guide dog, it's a huge conversation starter. People will come up and tell you about the 4 labs that they have had, or the 3 golden retrievers, or their aunt that's had a guide dog for 50 years, or whatever.
The residential we went on was at Lake Windermere, which is in Cumbria, the Lake District, and we actually went to a Vision hotel, which is specifically for people with sight loss, blind and partially sighted people. The hotel was fantastic. It's run by Action for Blind staff. So we went there. As first day there, we had lunch, then we went out on a ferry trip, which is on Lake Windermere, which is one of the largest lakes in Europe. Then the following day we had a full day of activities, which was a YMCA camp that's set up. We did indoor rock climbing to start with, then they took us on the outdoor climbing walls. Then it was back to the hotel for a meal, have your tea, and then evening time we could just socialise, go for a meal, have a drink, generally all get together and have a right good laugh about what had happened through the day. So it was a great opportunity to get to know people outside of Fairfax House. I mean, the staff here are fantastic, but you only see them behind a desk when you're here. But when you go on these residentials, you get a chance to see the other side of them. And we just all had a right good time.
Because for my 70th birthday, I flew a plane for the first time in my life. Small Cessna from Newcastle International Airport over Northumberland, which I greatly enjoyed. And a few months later, my friend Jim said, oh, there's somebody been in touch with you, wanting to know about your adventure on the plane. I said, all right. And to my great amazement, this person lived in America. So now I'm in regular touch with him, with emails. He has no sight and he's interested in flying. He lives in Minnesota.
In 1990, I was fortunate to be taken on to Stars in Their Eyes, which you may have heard of, with Leslie Crowther, and I did Roy Orbison on that programme. And from then I did 10 years singing, even though I was partially sighted. I'd help with my instruments, like setting them up and everything. And I had a great 10 years, and I raised thousands of pounds for charities local and afar, which actually led me on to YouTube, which I've only been on YouTube for just over a year, and I have some great friends around the world, fantastic people.
I'm one of Santa's helpers. I am legally blind, legally deaf, with a head injury, but I do not feel that stops me. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being Santa Claus. I enjoy becoming him and helping. And these things with the disability that I have does not interfere with that, to the point that it stops me from doing anything. I do not let it stop me. I was working for a company and I had an electrical accident. I got 480 volts of electricity run through me. And at the time, I was working on a platform, and the electricity hit me, and it knocked me off the platform. And in doing that, it created my vision loss, my hearing loss, and my head injury.
I was diagnosed with a vision loss and hearing loss in kindergarten, in 5th grade. But I still carry on with my life as I've always done before. The only thing is I'm not working now, I'm retired. And I'm enjoying my life and trying to advocate more for the visually impaired blind community in the US of A.
My name is Joan Wright, and I'm from Arlington, Texas. I'm partially sighted. I was blinded by lead paint when I was a child. But about 7.5 years ago or 8 years ago, I married my husband who was totally blind. And he was a machinist for 15 years, and he lost his eyesight. But the neat thing is, at Christmas time, he liked to do all kinds of things around the house. And one night I was at work at church, and I came home and there was the most beautiful blue lights on my house when we drove up in the driveway with my friend. And I said, "This isn't my house." And she said, "Oh, yes it is." And I said, "No, I don't live here." She said, "This is your house, I promise." Ken had gotten up on the roof, totally blind, on the ladder, put all the blue lights all over the place. And he had done it with his electric razor. He would listen and feel the lights and listen for the sound of the click. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my life. I'd never had Christmas lights up before in my whole life.
I never used an electrical shaver. But it was great for using to test a circuit. Is the circuit on? Plug it in, turn it on. And so when I would run the light setup for the Christmas lights, you know, I had everything strung out and I had a timer. And so they'd come on, you know, like 6 p.m., shut off at 11 p.m. Well, how do I know that I have the little pegs on timer right? Do I have them right? Do I have them where it's going to turn on at 6 p.m. or do I have the off? So I'd plug in the electrical shaver into the timer and rotate the dial so that when it hit the 6 o'clock, if the electric shaver came on, then I knew I had it right and not backwards. And the same way I did with everything. I mean, I replaced electrical plugs, light fixtures. I hung I did 12 different light. I'm completely blind, and I'm the blind guy's doing lighting for people who can see.
I'm very happy to be part of Blink, which is Blind Life Incorporated. It is a long time soapbox of my life to get out and reach, especially for the adult visually impaired blind. So I'm hoping that to create it as a school and a place for the visually impaired to meet peers of their own, their own peers, to mingle and enjoy and learn at the same time independent, where they can come on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, in a facility and learn how to be independent, whether it's through cooking, support groups, technology, Braille, which is so important. And this is what I'm looking forward to, and I believe that's the main goal of Blind Life, and that's why I'm here to support it.
We're having a party for our Blind Life, some of our people that we're working with, and we're having a big bunch of food to eat and some gifts and just a lot of good cheer. Come on in and meet everybody. This was our first annual Blind Life or Blink Christmas party. It was really important to me to be able to give a party in my home and invite these people to come and enjoy the society, the Christmas spirit, the celebration, just like sighted people do, and to form that community with them, bond with them. And they had a great time. We all did. We all had a great time.
So my level of eyesight really is light perception. Sometimes I might be able to see a camera flash. If I walk out during the day, if it's sunny, I could see the sun. And if it's daytime, and when it's nighttime, I can tell the difference in contrast. But I couldn't really see any shades of colours really, or if any objects on the floor or in front of me. So just really the difference between the contrast between light and dark, I'd say.
This is my family. We're in Norwich, in North Norwich, in the UK, and this is my husband Marcus on my left-hand side, and sitting below him is Abby Rose, and then Katie next to her, and Chris is on my right-hand side next to me. He's my son. We all have different levels of vision. Myself and Abby Rose and Chris all have the same form of aniridia. They inherited that from me. I don't have any vision at all myself, but Chris and Abby Rose have some useful vision, although their level of vision is low enough to mean that they are actually registered blind. Marcus has an eye condition which is related to aniridia. It's a fault on the same gene, but it's a different fault. It's unique to his family. So he has his own set of difficulties.
Some of the difficulties I have, some small difficulties is applying makeup, trying to make myself look presentable. I shut one eye and then I can't see the other eye to put makeup on. So you've got to kind of have one eye half open and hope for the best. I try to keep it as basic as possible. Things which match on either side or lines are difficult. So I don't do eyeliner, I don't do lip liner, and I try not to do, I don't do blusher in case I get it odd on different sides of my face. So, and I stick to natural colours. Lipstick's hard because I can't see the edges of my lips. So if I put a lipstick on that's in a proper, like a lipstick, that's really hard. So what I do is I buy tinted lip balm. So I can do that again with my finger and I can feel where my lips are. And then I just pat that on and that looks more natural, because the last thing I would want to do was my lipstick all over my face, and as well as my mascara all over my cheeks and things.
I think that for me the hardest thing of of being blind, I suppose, is getting to and from places. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm quite happy to catch a train, taxis, buses and stuff, but I wouldn't say it's hard, but if I had to pick something, I'd pick that, just because it'd be so much easier, for instance, just jumping in your car, getting in and jumping out when you're at the other end, as opposed to, when it's snowing and raining, you've got to get a taxi and then a bus and then to the train station and change your platform. And if you could drive, you don't have any of that complication. So I'd probably say that. But I don't even really use a cane, very rarely. I'm quite happy-go-lucky, I'll go out, and if I bump into a lamppost, I'll bounce off it and carry on. But that's the way I've always been, really.
We go to the southwest every summer.
And you got to go through London, don't you?
You go through London, and that's
and the tube train. And
So Katie's controlling 4 blind people and a guide dog and a load of suitcases.
Like 5 suitcases.
and then because the suitcases are quite large, Katie can't always lift them. And I do remember a situation when the train got to the station, and the trains don't spend too long in the station.
Me and Chris devised a plan. As long as we get those 3 on, it's fine if the train goes. We can just get the next one and it'll be fine.
And so I think the station staff were quite surprised when these suitcases just came flying out of this train, followed by 2 people just jumping as the doors were about to close. So I think people do get taken aback by certain sort of rather surprising methods, as it were.
And the hugeness of us, and
yeah, and the
communication that goes on between us.
It was worse last year because we had Kate with us.
Yeah.
So there was
six of them.
So 5 blind people, 2 totally blind, guide dog, and then 6 suitcases. and me.
Because I have more confidence, people think I can see more than I do.
Yeah. And I think some people don't actually, if they kind of just have a glance at you, they don't actually think that you are visually impaired.
But I have that as well.
Look, and
they say
you can be quite. It's the guide dog which kind of gives you away.
Right, But sometimes when I've gone up to a counter and you've experienced this, and they sort of hand you something or show you something.
Yeah. Or like the credit when you're trying to pay with the credit card, and they'll kind of like you'll hold out the credit card.
Yeah.
And I'll have to take it from you because
they're pointing at the
pointing at the machine, and they just won't do anything about it. So.
But then they don't understand that I can actually press my numbers into the machine.
I think that's a good thing though. If someone looks at you and doesn't see the visual impairment immediately.
I like that. I like it. If they make a mistake like that, I don't mind.
I've got a buzz from that for a lot of years through people not knowing, and then when I do eventually, if I choose to tell people, then they're shocked, and I've always quite enjoyed that. But then that has a negative side, that when you do ask for help, sometimes you're not taken seriously, because I walk into a room and people judge that I'm just a perfectly sighted person without a disability, and then I may pick a menu up or a book up and put it right up to my face and still can't read it. And it causes confusion.
In my immersion class, when I was losing my vision through training, there was a man, an older gentleman, who had lost his vision in a car accident. And he lost his vision immediately. And mine is a slow progression. And it was kind of like, you know, the girls who have curly hair want straight hair, and the girls who have straight hair want curly hair. And he was saying, I probably would rather have had my vision being lost gradually. That way I kind of know what it is to expect. And you probably wish it would happen suddenly. And I said, well, I don't know. And I started thinking about it. And I was like, well, I went home and I wrote about it. And I thought, well, it's kind of like coming home and your house being completely burnt, and you have no time to salvage anything. That would be sudden blindness, and you just kind of have to immediately deal with it, and that's horrific. Or how I feel like I'm dealing with blindness sometimes. It's a slow burn, where my home and what I'm building and all my memories, room by room, is burning. And I've got these pictures that I even have some. I have one especially that's in this hallway that is just a frame. And it's a reminder to me of my upcoming blindness, of the total blindness. And there's nothing in that frame.
I love football. I've played a lot of football, and we're just in the process now, through the help of Action for Blind, trying to get together a visually impaired football team in Leeds, which will make me happy.
In 2008, I probably had the greatest honour you can playing football, and attended the Beijing Olympics. Well, blind football, predominantly the actual international game, is quite similar to futsal in that you've got five players each side. You have a fully sighted goalkeeper, 4 outfield players. Each player is blindfolded just to make sure no cheating goes on, and it's a level playing field. And the main difference really is in the ball, such as this, you sort of have ball bearings in it so you can hear where it goes as opposed to looking where it's going. And the games last 25 minutes each way with a 10-minute half time. In the UK we currently have, I think it's around 4 football teams, but that's sort of one area where there's a massive difference. If you look at Spain and Brazil and other South American countries, I know Brazil have 80 football teams, Spain have around 30, 40. You know, so considering we've only got 4, you know, I think as a nation, you know, England seem to you know, definitely punch above our weight.
I'm Kurt Mackin. I live here in Armagh. My sight loss problem is cortical visual impairment with tunnel vision, so it means I've only got straight ahead in front of us. I can't see at the sides, I can't see at the bottom or the top, so it's just like looking down a dark train tunnel. My job and probably my life probably revolves around sport in terms of my job with being a football coach with the Newcastle United Foundation and with Ashton Football Club. So I would have to say in my life I live, breathe and eat football, thanks to my dad and probably my mum. I absolutely love it. Without football, there's no me. I wouldn't know what to do because all I've ever done since the age of 14 actually, all right up until I left school, into college, leaving college to getting straight into an Ashton Football Club. That's all I've done. I don't know nothing. No different. So if I lost football, then I'd lose my whole life, really. This is our championship trophy here, the big one, big silver one. Like I say, there was a lot of teams competing for it, like Arsenal and things like that, who I'm very proud to say that we beat, obviously.
So now we're going to play a bit of pool as it's too snowy out there. Normally what I'll do if I play with my mates and stuff, we'll play the normal rules and that. They'll tell me where the white ball is and what colours and where they are. But when I play by myself, just to practice because I need it, and what I've actually done with the white ball is I had a knife and scratched it all, just so the texture is a lot rougher. So when I do need to find the white ball myself, when it's just me, I can tell by the feel of it. Trying to pop the balls is I point the cue where the pocket is so I know exactly where it is, and then find the ball that I'm trying to pot, line it up with the pocket first like so, and then try and find the white ball, then sort of try and find the desired angle that I need. Hopefully toss it like that. Stayed where it was, isn't it? Sometimes I spend ages looking for the white ball and it's like the first place on it. And that'll be the black, and that's how you play pool.
I'd just like to say, for anybody who's struggling to come to terms with sight loss, the main thing is give yourself time. It takes a lot of time to come to terms with it, but never give up. I know there's lots of things you can't do, but there's lots of things you can do, and you can always learn new things. You're never too late to learn.
Your life isn't over by any means, it's just another chapter beginning. And, you know, listen to our stories and take something from what myself and my friends have been saying and just move forward. There is something out there for you to do. And I'm sure as the years go on, and with the inspiration of somebody like Jim Welsh, who runs Blind Life, his enthusiasm is just absolutely, you know, top notch, and you can run with that for a long time and just enjoy, live your life to your full. It doesn't mean life's over.
I feel with the right support, which is what you get here at Action for Blind, that anything's possible, but you do need that support. Without that support, it makes it very difficult.
Take any help and any support that you can to help you along that way, because actually sharing your story and building on that really does help. Keeping it all in and feeling down about it, it doesn't help, doesn't get you anywhere. So, you know, exploit your skills, get yourself out there and have fun as well, you know, because I think there's a huge amount we're capable of.
Don't let anything stop you from doing anything that you actually want to do, because the way I see it is your eyesight's not stopping anything that you're doing. I mean, my mum can work. I don't see why it could stop anyone from just achieving what they want. Just go for it.
I think it is really important for people to understand that a visual impairment and blindness is not a handicap, even though it may be classified as one. Everybody comes with something. Some are more visible than others. What is truly the handicap is how you deal with it. Moving forward, being strong and persistent, being strong in faith, and having a positive attitude, those are the things that make you who you are. Keep on with a good attitude. Don't give up. Surround yourself with good people, and you're going to be all right, no matter what your situation is. There's a whole lot more blindness out in the world than just visual impairments.
You saw me crying in the chapel. The tears I shed were tears of joy. I know the meaning of contentment. Now I'm happy with the Lord. Ah, 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 oh yeah. I don't want a four-leaf clover. I don't want an old horseshoe. I want your kiss, 'cause I just can't miss. Oh, with a good luck charm like you. Come on and be my little good luck charm. You sweet delight. I want a good luck charm hanging on my arm. To have, to hold tonight. I don't want a silver dollar, a rabbit's foot on a string. The happiness and your warm caress, I know